Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you as we broadcast live from the beautiful Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Hope everybody is well on a Thursday. It feels like a Friday to me. I'm not sure about everybody else, but it kind of feels like a Friday. I didn't work Monday, and yet I still want the week to be shorter than it is, Charlie. It's very, very weird. I don't know how it works, but yeah.
I mean, I think that's just how humans think.
Right.
You always want the weekend more so than working, even if you love your job, Sparky.
Yes, even if you love your job, which I absolutely love my job. That's why I've been here forever. Coming up on today's show, Ian Cummings, NFL draft analyst for Pro Football Network. He's down at the Senior Bowl at the practices, and he has been tweeting out all week all the different stuff. Before that, he was at the Shrine Bowl, covering the Shrine Bowl as well, where Mason Rieger obviously was the guy for the Wisconsin Badgers. So we'll talk to him coming up at 3 o'clock. Looking forward to that. And then at 4:20, former Milwaukee Bucks president, it feels weird. I don't like how it feels to say it. Peter Feigin will join us at 4:20 today, and he was celebrated and honored earlier today in the city of Milwaukee. Mitch Thunder Nellis was at that event and checked it out, and Giannis was there, and all that fun stuff. So we'll talk with Peter Feigin, former Bucks president, coming up at 4:20. Looking very, very forward to that. We are going to talk some Bucks, obviously, throughout the show. We'll talk Bucks with Peter Feigin there at 4:20. We will do a Bucks Giannis segment in segment 2 of this hour, and then that's it. That's all. You will not be Bucksed out on this show. You will not be Giannis out on this show. I promise you, we are not going to do it. I felt like yesterday was a lot of it, and obviously deserved to be with all the stories breaking and, you know, one guy saying one thing and one guy saying another thing as far as the two NBA insiders saying two different things. So we'll address it, but it's not going to be an all-day thing. Actually, I guess there's kind of a third topic. At 240 kind of revolves around Giannis, but it's more of a generality as a sports fan in the state, not really specifically about Giannis. I want to start off this show talking about the Green Bay Packers. And we are going to talk Brewers today as well at 3:20, so don't worry. If you're a Brewers fan, we'll get some Brewers talk in. The reason I want to start out talking about the Green Bay Packers is really quite simple. I've been in this business for a while and have seen many coaches get fired, hired, extended. Seeing general managers get hired, fired, extended. I've seen assistant coaches being brought on or let go as scapegoats or whatever the case may be. Been to many of press conferences. Back in the day, when I was losing my mind over how the team was being run by Herb Cole, I would sit front and center at the press conferences so I could have my chance to ask Herb Cole questions, because that would be the only time I'd ever get to ask him questions. Outside of one interview that I got to do with him at the Cousins Center, which was a group interview with everybody. And then it got intense between me and Herb Cole, and everybody left us. And there he and I were all by ourselves at the practice floor of the Cousins Center while everybody else walked away to go talk to somebody else. It was just him and I. Robbie, to this day, I think, says it's one of the most uncomfortable interviews he's ever played on the radio. It was me and Herb Cole. Going back and forth.
Why weren't you nice to anybody?
Nope. I wouldn't be nice.
You're like the Grinch.
If I
don't, your heart got a little bigger now.
Right. I don't go out as much now because I have other responsibilities here and so forth. But I don't think I would be any different if I was in locker rooms today or interviewing people today. That's just who I am. Like, especially if Jimmy Haslam, if you're listening, especially if over a course of time you stink and continuously make horrible decisions, that's when I'm going to really start deciding to show up and start really pressing, because that's just how it was. And I'm not apologizing for it. That's who I was back then. And I don't feel like in that aspect, when it comes to asking questions that need to be asked or whatever else, I still don't feel like I've changed that much. But that being said, why, oh, why do you think that nothing is being announced by the Packers? Why? We're on in Green Bay, WNFL, 99.7 FM, Appleton too. So I know y'all can hear me. Why is nothing being announced? Has there been a snag? Because nobody's reporting on it either. So it's not just like nothing's being announced. I haven't seen anything new lately on Goody's deal getting done, Russ's Ball's deal getting done. We had Tom Silverstein on 2 weeks ago? Whatever it was. And Tom Silverstein was like, yeah, man, if I was betting, man, I'd say probably like a 3-year extension, about $15 million a year. So when he said that, I fully expected like the next day we would have everything out there and we'd have something. But there's nothing. And a last check from Rob Domofsky, I believe it was that the Goody deal wasn't done yet, but it was going to be done. Now, I don't know how hard it is to negotiate a general manager's contract. I really have no idea. I've never done it. Russ Ball's your business, finance, numbers guy, right? I don't know how hard it is to negotiate his contract. I can't imagine his deal is very hard to do. And then there's Matt LaFleur. But since all of that happened, you're allowing these guys, who you still not announced anything on, to go out and hire a defensive coordinator. Today they hired a linebackers coach. That was a DC last year, but was Gannon's old linebackers coach with the Cardinals. So he's being brought in. They brought in a couple other guys. A couple of other guys have left. Like Ainsley, he's out because he was replaced by Bobby Babich. So Ainsley's out. So all of this is going on. They haven't even announced that Gannon's the DC. There's been no press release. There's been no talk of a press conference. Hell, I'll take a Zoom at this point. Nothing has been announced. Why? And don't tell me, well, we're coming up on the Super Bowl and the NFL's got everybody shut down. No, they don't. McCarthy just had a press conference in Pittsburgh. He was crying like a baby. Ain't nothing, everything's not shut down. I've never seen anything like this. I've never, ever seen this. Where you have so many people involved in decision-making in one organization, and the organization does nothing to promote it or talk about, yes, it's done, it's official. The extensions, you know what? Just send out a press release. We've extended the contracts of these three. You don't have to give me numbers, whatever. Just, hey, we've extended the contracts of Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, and Russ Ball. Done. Defensive coordinator, you don't want to have a press conference on that either? You don't want him talking to us? Fine. Press release on that will do just fine. Just confirm what all of these reports are saying. Like, I don't get it. I don't understand. And how can there not be, let me put it this way. Let's say they're held up on Gutekunst, right? So you're just going to let LaFleur hire his guys that he wants to hire and Gannon? And the GM's not going to be involved? Because remember now, LaFleur reports to Ed Policy at this point, right? I don't know. I mean, if they're all done, what are we waiting for? I don't. What's the issue? Goody's at the Senior Bowl and wants to wait till he's back to have a press conference to talk about it all? I don't know.
Maybe. I think the other thing is both those guys are still under contract, aren't they? They're both still technically here, even without the extensions. They're both still supposed to be working, so they're both working right now. So in your mind, you don't have to announce an extension. I mean, I think. What about the new DC? I think that's something that's a little strange to me. I think with those two guys, I would announce the extensions, even though, you don't have to. They're both still working and under contract. You can wait a while to do that. Sure, whatever. Do what you want. But with Gannon, again, I mentioned this yesterday. It feels weird to be already in that phase of scouting at the Senior Bowl and going into this draft process, knowing how much you need to change on that defensive rotation, especially in the D-line and the cornerback room, that your defensive coordinator wouldn't be involved because he's not technically a part of the staff yet. But he is, because he's hiring other coaches within his staff and his coaches he wants and coaches that fit with him. So even if Matt LaFleur is the one making those hirings, he's still talking to Gannon about who he wants to hire, which means he's working, which means he's under contract to some degree. I don't know why would you not just come out and say that? But you don't come out and say you have a defensive coordinator contract done until you have the news with your head coach done. And you don't have that come out until you have the news with your GM done.
Correct. And that's the thing. The Packers normally as an organization are pretty much on top of this stuff. Like, I've never, ever seen this before. So I'm open. I'm open to anybody's theories, ideas, what you heard from somebody else that says something else. What is going on? All ideas are welcome. Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Let's go to Brian in McGuanago. You're first up on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Sparky, this whole Giannis thing is getting annoying after a while. It sounds like the same movie, just names have been changed to protect the innocent. And the Aaron Rodgers take day after day. Is he coming back? Is he leaving? Is he retiring? Is he going to be traded? Blah, 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 blah. Getting old after everything. It's not a big deal. At the end of the day, it's just a kid's game. My question to you, I was going to ask you yesterday that I got cut off accidentally, I guess. What do you think about the chances the Packers could get this edge rusher from Oklahoma? He's been compared a lot to like the early days of Khalil Mack and those guys. The guy, I've been watching Oklahoma football since the 70s with Barry Switzer. And I just always liked Oklahoma football. They always had great defenses. And this guy was just tearing it up, especially the last half of the college season. And he's been moving up the boards. I remember at the beginning of the year, I was looking at him, and he was projected to be a third rounder. Now they said he could even sneak into the first round. And I know the Packers don't have one, so they might have to move up. But I think this would be a great guy to kind of take this defense to another level and help the pieces they already got in place, because they do have a lot of talent on that defense already. So I can't imagine with Angabari and with Cooper and with Wyatt back now and with Bullard and Williams in the back, that defense would really be tough. And then they can either sign a free agent on an offensive line, maybe get a cornerback and a couple in the draft. But I think when you got a game changer like this, you got to take the best player available at that time you're drafting. I think your team's long-term, consistently stay better when you take the best athlete, unless they're all at one position.
You're talking about Mason Thomas?
Yes. That guy is a stud.
So this is the deal. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Brian. This is the thing. We're talking with Ian Cummings, who's down there at the Senior Bowl. I don't think that's how this is going to roll. And I understand of take best guy available. And all teams, for the most part, will tell you they take the best guys available. And my theory has always been, for the most part, of we're going to take the best guys available of what we need. That's. So technically we took best guy available, but we need offensive linemen. We need cornerbacks. And we're going to take the best of whatever those two are there to provide us. Unless it is like no-brainer stuff, right? Like, okay, you have an aging quarterback in Brett Favre. You had Aaron Rodgers ranked as one of the top quarterbacks, never supposed to get to you. He falls all the way to you, and you have an aging quarterback. Well, damn. Like, he should have been gone in the top 3 or top 5. We got to take him. So they take him, right? Jordan Love. Oh, man, I got this receiver. I like that receiver. Gone. Oh, but this dude's still here. He wasn't supposed to be here. Do you think he's the guy, Matt? I think he's the guy. All right, let's move up a couple and go get him. That was shocking, right? But for the most part, you need a nose tackle, B.J. Raji. You need a linebacker. I need corners. Let's take 3 corners in a row back in the day. We need receivers. We'll take 3 receivers in a row in the middle of the draft. Like, for the most part, they're going to go to fill holes. I don't care what they tell you publicly. They're going to try and fill holes. Maybe they look at edge rusher, especially if they have to get rid of Rashawn Gary, right? Remember, they're going to have to make some cuts here in March before we get to free agency and when all the cap numbers come due and they've got to be under a number. Then these cuts are going to happen. So if they don't feel Van Ness is that guy, if Gannon looks at Edgerrin Cooper and goes, no, I don't think he's an edge rusher, maybe then that moves up the board and maybe then that becomes a thing. But talking about that offensive line and the Zach Tom health and all that stuff yesterday, I just think cornerback is numero uno. Like 2 or 3 corners in this draft have got to be a thing at this point before I even consider anything else going forward if I'm the Packers.
I mean, you watched the last 5 games without Micah Parsons. And yes, the pass rush wasn't inspiring, But you saw some young players who showed that they could go out there and be impactful in the future, especially given more reps. And if Rashawn Gary's moved out of that group, they're going to have the opportunity to get more reps. Lucas Van Ness isn't a guy that comes back or isn't a part of the future. Right. You'll have more reps there too. So you'll be able to see a lot of these young players that they've had in the past. I mean, the cornerback room was just barren. You were giving practice squad guys reps in the playoffs because you had no other options. You have to find a way to get players that fit your system better, especially with a new defensive coordinator that are going to come in and be able to have high impact kind of ceilings right away that aren't named Keyshawn Nixon or a Carrington Valentine.
Yeah, Charlie using C Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Peter Feigin, former Bucks president, joins us coming up at 4:20. Don't forget, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's after every Bucks win. Stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast and get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the Bucks. We're going to talk about Giannis. This is what we'd like to know. Are you going to support? And when I mean support, I mean still going to buy tickets to go to a game or two. Now, maybe you don't go to 10 games anymore. Maybe you only go to a game or two. Still going to turn on the TV once in a while and see what's going on with the team and so forth, okay? Will you support the Bucks bottoming out for a few years after this if they trade Giannis? Are you going to look at this and go, hey, that is more than reasonable. I'm not going to deal with 20 years. I'm not going to deal with 7 years or 10 years. But hey, like the Thunder, they were down for a couple of years. I'm okay with that, right? We win 15 games again, but we've got a couple good young up-and-comers. It's a super young team and they're learning. Totally fine. I will have patience. Or would you rather see the Bucks go the route that a lot of people that want the Knicks to make a deal and some of these other teams that don't have draft picks, what they're selling you, which is, hey, or the Heat package, where you get 3-4 good players and it puts you in a position to be around 500 every year, but you're never going to win anything because you have no star power and you don't get any picks to get you star power. Would you rather go that way and be in purgatory like the Bulls have been forever? Or would you rather just bottom all the way out, get as many picks as you can, suck for a couple of years, and try and work your way back up? Which way do you want to see this go? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. This is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie Usen doing his thing. You're doing your thing. Hope your day is going well. Going to get a warm-up this weekend. So that's good. At least some of us are going to get a warm-up. I didn't look at the Wausau or Duluth Superior weather forecast. On Fridays, we should take a look at all the affiliates' weather forecasts for that weekend and go around the state of, who's getting screwed this weekend and who's going to have a nice weekend every Friday going into the weekend, especially in the wintertime.
You're such a weather nerd.
Dude, I am. I'm telling you, I am. I look at the forecast 3, 4, 5 times a day, all the time, seeing if anything's changed.
I do it once in the morning, and that's it.
Well, at least you do it once in the morning. A lot of people don't even look at it. Just grab a jacket and walk out.
Guess, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people just walk out the door. All right, so this Giannis thing, I am sick and tired of talking about all this nonsense. Who do you believe? Who don't you believe? All that fun stuff. I've just had my fill. But I am curious about how you think you're going to go about handling this if it happens. There are some people that believe that he will not get traded here at the deadline, that it'll wait till the summertime. There are very few people that believe he will stay and sign an extension, like one in like 100,000 maybe, that believe he's not going anywhere, he's staying and signing an extension. Very, very few people are on that train. Most are on the train of he's getting dealt by February 5th, the trade deadline next week, or he's going to get dealt this offseason. Because it clearly appears he doesn't want to be here. And his agents clearly appear they definitely don't want him to be here, if nothing else. So now the question becomes, what are you willing to support? Because if you're older and you went through the Chris Ford Bucks head coach years and you went through the 15-win seasons and all of that, you know what that was like, right? You know that you could get tickets to go see a Bucks game for like 50 cents. Not even making that up. StubHub, I think you get them for 50 cents at one point. TV ratings had zeros on Fox Sports Wisconsin back in the day. So that probably is where we're headed back to. And we've already had Mark Lazary leave a couple of years ago. He saw the writing on the wall clearly. And now Peter Feigin is out. And he's replaced by a guy that comes from the Haslam Sports Group, which, again, Bucks fan, Wisconsin native, great. Might be a great guy. I'm sure at some point maybe we'll get to talk to him. But the fact that you have Haslam Sports Group next to your name makes me very skeptical that this is going to go in the right direction, considering the history of how badly run the Cleveland Browns are. I have little to no faith this is going to go correctly. The other thing that makes me very concerned, as I've talked about, is the absence of Wes Edens, who, for the most part, has always been front and center. The absence of John Horst in all of this also makes me very skeptical, as we've talked about, that this is all going to go okay. Some want John Horst fired after this year and want to start over and let a GM who maybe has a better reputation of drafting make these picks of whatever they may get. I think Horst is overly criticized for his draft picks. It's not like this dude has had lottery picks, right? He's not missing on lottery picks. He's trading ones. The ones he gets are at the end of one. He's having to make stuff work in the second round. Has he missed on guys? Yeah. Right. You look at the draft order, Bucks take this guy. Oh, 2 players later, that dude actually can play. Our guy's out of the league. Yes. You can absolutely be critical from that perspective. Yes. Would I be like, oh my God, he's going to screw up the draft if John Horst is still the GM? No, I'm not going to say that. I think he'll figure it out. He'll be okay, especially at the top of this draft. Like top 3, top 5, pretty much no brainers. Really can't screw this up too badly, I don't think. So I don't get all that concerned about if he's the GM or not, but they could potentially switch GMs as well. But how much are we really going to be patient? How much are we really going to be willing to support the idea of it's going to suck for a couple of years, or God forbid, a few years, before this gets back to being good again, to where you're competing for not only the playoffs, but competing for playoff home court advantage on a year-to-year basis. Talking about maybe a potential championship at some point again, where we can start having that conversation. Or do you not want them to bottom out? Do you want them to be the Herb Cole Bucks and try and figure out how to consistently be around that play-in tournament, consistently be around 500 with a bunch of good players you get back for Giannis. Don't worry about the picks. Just make us competitive at least, better than we are now, and that's good enough. Nikolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I just glanced over at the Nikolay Law talking text line. Do I have to read them?
Yeah, of course.
Really?
Yes, you have to, Sparky, because I like the ones we're seeing.
So, okay. 920. No matter which way you go, I have to get rid of Doc. Especially if you get some good young talent for Giannis from the 920. JB in the 920. You don't want Doc to be a co-head coach with someone else? ? Could it really get any worse? Talked about this last couple of days. I'll address it again. I can't make a 100% guarantee this is going to happen. I don't know Doc Rivers, just like you don't know Doc Rivers, right? No idea what's going through his brain on a day-to-day basis or what he likes and doesn't like. But I would be absolutely shocked if Giannis gets dealt, they get a bunch of picks and a bunch of young guys in their first or second year, whatever it is, and some old dude on an expiring contract or whatever. And Doc Rivers goes, yep, I want to coach a bunch of young kids for the next 5 years. Yep, I'm in. I'm good. I'll coach a rebuild. Be shocked. The odds are far greater that he retires. Says, I'm going back to the TV booth. Everybody would like me in the TV booth. I'm good in the TV booth. See ya. I'm still going to make millions in the TV booth. So I'm out of here. See you later. Let somebody else come coach these young kids. I'm telling you, you all kind of let this Doc Rivers thing go. You just do. Because once Giannis is gone, it does not matter. You're not trying to win anyhow, right? Now you're just trying to get the best pick you can get. So if Doc coaches them and they don't win, fine. Who cares at this point? It doesn't matter. And then the offseason comes, and if this roster is destroyed, which, again, if you're trading Giannis, then you better trade Miles Turner, trade Bobby Portis, trade Kuzma for whatever you can get. Second-round picks, whatever. Get whatever you can get. Clear this roster up, blow the damn thing up, and start back over again. Completely start over. Wipe the whole thing clean. Any valuable asset, goodbye. Somebody's giving me a second-round pick and an expiring contract for Miles Turner?
See ya.
See ya. Bye-bye. Good luck to you in your future endeavors. We're done.
Come on in, Al Horford.
Yeah, expiring contract, something that matches up. Porzingis, whatever. I don't care. Bye-bye. I'll take a second to go with it just to clear his salary off of the books going forward. I don't want any of my young guys blocked by guys that aren't going to do anything anyhow. So that's me. I'm fine. Blow it up. Start over. Let's roll. I'm fine. 2-3 years of 15 or 20 wins, but potential to get a star or two to build this thing with. Yes, that is fine with me. I'm more than fine with that. KJ and West Allis, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. KJ, are you okay supporting the Bucks bottoming out for a few years?
I guess maybe
no,
a year.
You're not convinced
maybe
of
2
that.
years. No, I'm not convinced. No, I'm not. Because I don't know what the hell they're doing. Do you?
Neither do they.
Exactly. So how can I endorse something that I don't know,
Well, because it's going to essentially, this is it, KJ, right? So if you're the Bucks, right, do you want to get back guys like Tyler Hero and Khalil Ware and those guys and go, okay, these guys will give us a chance to be competitive, be around being a playoff team. They're a little bit younger. Yeah, Hero's got a big contract, but bring Hero home and we'll be okay and we won't really suck and be at the bottom of the league? Or do you want it to be, give me a bunch of ones and expiring contracts and we're going to start this thing completely over?
Yeah, let's blow it all up.
Okay.
And there's a lot of telltale signs, Sparky, that are pointing towards that. I mean, right? Because you have guys that have disappeared themselves. John Horst, all these other guys, the owners are all jumping ship. So that's a huge indicator for me that probably
they're getting ready to, everybody, Doc Rivers as well. I mean, I think he's going to be definitely going to jump ship, and he's going to probably retire, as you said. My biggest fear, Sparky, in all of this is that the Deer District is going to turn to dust.
No. Hold on 1 second now. I will give them credit again, including Peter Feigin when he's on at 420 today, that they knew this day was coming at some point, right? So what did they do with that plot of land next to them? They could have built a hotel or multiple hotels. They could have made it a green space. They could have done whatever. Instead of going that way, they put another entertainment venue in. So now when this does go south, you're still going to have concerts and monster trucks, which is this weekend, Disney on Ice and all that, still coming to Fiserv. But then you're also going to have that concert venue, which has two venues in that building, a bigger and a smaller, two concert venues in that building in between there and Panther Arena. So now essentially you could have three concerts going on at one time downtown, plus whatever's going on at Panther Arena. Building that thing in the middle was brilliant as far as trying to keep those businesses alive down there.
Yeah, but the existing buildings and restaurants and so forth, they're going to suffer. There's no question. I mean, you're not going to have the type of population downtown that you had with Giannis being here and the Bucks being good. So it remains to be seen. You know, I agree with you. That was a good move not to build, on that plot, what they had initially wanted to do. And, like I said, we're going to have to see. But I want him to blow the thing up and go from there. I don't want to see a bunch of dudes running around, because that's a problem right now. We got a bunch of dudes running around, and they're not committed, and they're not the kind of guys that you're going to keep on the roster.
No. I don't disagree with you at all at this point, KJ. Thanks for the call. I mean, think about the Oklahoma City Thunder, Brand. That's what we're talking about, right? They trade Paul George and they get what? SGA, right? And if memory serves correct, Doc did not want to give up SGA. But if they were going to make a run with Kawhi, they had to go get Paul George in order to make this work. So he gives up SGA and the dude blows up, right? Then they're not all that good to begin with, and then they get Chet Holmgren in the lottery. Now you've got two building pieces. Then you also have Sam Presti, who's amazing, hitting on other draft picks like Lou Dort and some of these other guys to put around him. That's what has to happen. You get a young guy in this deal for Giannis, Jalen Johnson, and you get a really good pick. Now you get the Bucks or the Pelicans pick in that pick swap, right? Now you essentially could have two picks in the top 5 or two picks in the top 3. I swear to God, I don't need 5 first-round picks. I don't need 5 players and whatever else. And salaries are going to have to work. So Porzingis is going to have to come back in that deal or whatever to make it work with Atlanta. But if I get Jalen Johnson and I get 2 picks in the top 5 by getting that pick swap back, so I own my pick and the Pelicans pick, I'm good. I don't need picks in 28, 29, and 30. I'm good. I'm going to get 2 studs at the top of this draft to build with, and a young stud in Jalen Johnson, who's going to be a superstar. He comes home, so people are going to love that. Now I got 3 star players, and I'm going to go, and we're good, and this town is going to be super excited. You do that dumb Miami trade or a Knicks trade with a bunch of vets and no picks, then you're going to get what you deserve.
I think there's only 2 teams in my mind that are going to be in that same kind of mode as the Clippers were at that point. I think the Clippers, there's 2 things that made them want to do that trade so bad. Kawhi Leonard wanted Paul George. That was the whole reason that they wanted to play together.
Right.
And then 2, Steve Ballmer was a psycho and paid for that entire stadium on his own and needed to find a way to fill that stadium. So he's like, I need to go get a second star, try to win a championship. Those were those things. The Warriors are in that spot where I think they're desperate enough to want to go and pair a guy with Steph Curry in that situation like Giannis, and that they're willing to give that. But do they have the star player or the future star player like an SGA in that situation? Now, SGA wasn't really seen as that player when he was traded there. He was supposed to have a bright future, but nobody really was that high on him, and then he blossomed. Maybe Kuminga could be that, but also Kuminga's shown us that he hasn't been able to break into that rotation at all in Golden State. And then the other team that I think you look at is Atlanta, like you said with Jalen Johnson. Just it's going to be a lot harder to get Jalen Johnson because he's already kind of started that breakout. So now he's more valuable than SGA was at that point.
I don't give a damn. This is Giannis, man. I'm not trading Michael Redd. This is Giannis. Giannis, dominant player, right? I don't want to hear about, but I don't want to give this up. Like, I'm seeing reports on social media. Wow, the Bucks want the moon, right? They want all your young players and all your draft picks. Man, they got Giannis. What do you think they're going to ask for at this point? If they get hosed in this deal, it's going to destroy everything. They must find the perfect deal. And if they can't find it by the draft, then by the deadline, then you got to wait to the offseason. Plain and simple. You can't come out of this shorted and going back on that and going, that ruined the franchise for a decade because they screwed that trade up. You have to be right on this. You cannot just settle to say, oh, okay, we'll settle. We'll just take this and call it a day so we can get the Giannis drama over. No, if you can't find the perfect deal, then he sits and he watches the rest of the year, and he can wait to the summer to go if he wants to go. Like, absolutely not. The Bucks trade Giannis. Do you support the Bucks bottoming out for a couple of years after that? Got a bunch of people texting in, got people on hold. We'll get to all of y'all. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live in Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Dial it up. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Charlie and I just had an idea. And this is an idea I've come up with years ago with Rami Magaloff. I don't know how that would work. I don't know, Sparky. I want to do a cooking show on the radio.
All right.
I'm serious.
I think we can do it.
And you and I just talked about in the break. You and Rami co-hosting like a cooking show of some sort. And in the summertime, it can be about grilling and stuff like that. We can bring on crock pot expert Tommy Wirtz for the winter time. Talk about all of his different crock pot recipes that he has. Mitch
is always talking about all the food he cooks through Thunder.
Yeah, Mitch wants to talk about food to everybody.
Exactly.
Whenever.
Okay, so in college, on my radio show I had there, me and my friends used to do food battles each week where we'd get food from different restaurants in the local area.
Yeah.
But they'd be like for the teams or a matchup playing that week. So if it was like the Bears versus the Denver Broncos, we did Italian beef versus green chili burritos. And then we just ate them on air or like gave them rankings. It was like, that's who's winning the game. And we gave away $20 with it, whatever. So like people
Why did it take all of this for you to come up with that idea? We've been through 2 football seasons. You never brought this up.
Dude,
we could have done this.
I'll eat on air all I want, but you never talk about eating on air. I always talk about food.
I don't eat on air because I tend to spit sometimes, and I don't want the mic covered with food by the time I'm done. No, but that's a brilliant idea. I love.
We can make it work.
Next fall for football season, we're definitely doing that. But I'm serious. I want a cooking show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. We're gonna figure this out and get that done. Right now, asking you if the Bucks are to move Giannis, do you support the Bucks bottoming out for the next couple of years after that? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Paul and Wauwatosa, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Paul?
Hey, Sparky. So I got to agree with you. If they're going to trade Giannis, no question they should bottom out and go with the full rebuild. I mean, ask any Bulls fan what life in the middle of the NBA is like and how that's going for them.
Right.
But my frustration is, why does the mainstream media think that we have no choice but to trade Giannis?
So this is Paul, I'll tell you what I think is going on. I've been saying this for a while now. And this is exemplified yesterday by both of these 2 different reports. Shams Charania on ESPN comes out and says, okay, they're going to trade him. They're taking calls. Then you have the other NBA sider, Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes, whose cousin, I think it is Giannis's wife. So he's got the direct line. Chris Haynes goes, oh, no, Giannis didn't ask for a trade. He's never going to ask for a trade. But, maybe the Bucks are taking calls now and are thinking about trading him. What I think is happening is, and has been happening for the last couple of years, is the agents of Giannis are working through Shams nationally to get their messaging out because they're the ones I think that really want that dude out of here. And then you have Giannis trying to save face and saying, hey, I'm never going to ask for a trade. Now, if his agents ask for a trade, that's not technically Giannis asking for a trade. He never went into an office and said, trade me. So he's trying to have his cake and eat it too. That's what it appears to me, Paul.
But if I'm the Bucks, I wait until June. I've got 3 first-round picks, and I can pair a star with Giannis then. Because here's the thing. There is no star. There's no Giannis-level player coming back in a Giannis trade. We're never going to see a player in our lifetimes like this again.
Agreed.
So don't give up now. Don't punt on 3rd down.
So the thing then becomes this, Paul, right? So this draft is going to be one of the best drafts we've seen in quite some time. The top of this draft is really, really good. So if you can make a deal with, say, Atlanta, where you get Wisconsin guy Jalen Johnson, who looks like he's breaking out to become that star right now, and then you're able to get that pick swap back from Atlanta, which means you have your pick and the Pelicans pick, which could put you 2 in the top 5 with Jalen Johnson, you legitimately could have 3 potential future stars on this team by moving Giannis now.
Right, but I've seen too many Michael Olakandis get drafted in the NBA.
Fair.
Give me the bird in the hand. I want to kick the can down the road with Giannis.
Fair enough. I totally get it. Paul, thanks for the call. 100%. 100%. Greg Oden. That was the guy. Remember him? He was supposed to be the guy. Durant went in that draft. Al Horford went after him. And Oden never could stay healthy, never could make it work. So you don't know. Absolutely right. I mean, Boozer gets drafted this year, and maybe he's hurt his whole career, and it never works out. And you're like, oh, my God, we did all of that, and then it never worked. And with the Bucks luck, who knows? Maybe that's exactly what happened.
Or maybe he's awesome.
Or
maybe he's a franchise changer, like an Anthony Edwards in a recent draft.
Absolutely. Randy, Midtown, Milwaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Randy?
First of all, Sparky, you are capital THEMAN, the man. Love your show, and I am a fan of the fan.
I appreciate
Let's get it going. Let's get it going.
Thanks, Randy.
Listen,
I'm looking at it from the other way. What chances does Giannis have to go to another team and right away be a championship contender? It's not even a good pathway, it seems like, because the team that he goes to, that we trade him to, is going to have to give up way too much, right, which will have him rebuilding again.
Correct. Yep, absolutely right. 1,000.
So all of this makes no sense to me. It's just a bunch of rhetoric that they're spewing in the national media. It's kind of like when you keep accusing your girlfriend of cheating, and she really wasn't thinking of cheating, but then you keep accusing her, and since you put that on her, she like, you accuse me of it anyway. I'm just gonna go out here anyway because you didn't appreciate me.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. But don't forget, Giannis is the one that brought up that whole scenario about what was Giannis's comparison, Charlie, about looking at other girls?
Take off a ring during the summer and girls come up to talk to you. That's not your fault.
Right.
That's what he said.
That's what Giannis said. Mm-hmm. Right. And I was livid when I heard that. So speaking of cheating, Giannis has already brought that whole idea up about taking off that ring, Randy. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Such a horrible analogy. But, I mean, it's very true, right? I mean, if you're going to be two-faced, I mean, that really is the closest he's admitted to being a two-face was when he made that statement. Mm-hmm. That was the closest we've seen. And then since then, he's just sidestepping, juking, moving, trying to figure out what he can and can't say without looking like the bad guy. Instead of just coming to a microphone and being, hey, look, man, I changed my mind. I want to go try it elsewhere. Thanks to Milwaukee, blah, 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 blah. Sick of all the charades. Yes, it's been my agents that have been trying to get me out of Milwaukee for like the last 4 or 5 years. But you know, it's time. I'd like to go try and play somewhere else. I'll never forget my time in Milwaukee. Loved winning the championship here. Fans are the best. I know a lot of you aren't going to be happy about this, but it's time to move on. Dude, just straight up get up and say it, or say it with a reporter. I don't care how you come on this radio station if you want. I don't care, but just say it to somebody instead of this juking and jiving and just trying to have your cake and eat it too consistently. Trell, north side of Milwaukee, you're next here on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. What's up, Trell?
Hey, Sparky, what's up, man? I got to say this, man, because this has been something that's been consistently happening. Now, I understand the national media has wanted to get Giannis from out of Milwaukee for years. And there have been sensationalized reports that probably didn't happen the way that they said, but there was still some modicum of truth there. But I would say, if anybody can watch Giannis this year and not think that he has something to do with not wanting to be in Milwaukee, I don't know what you've been watching.
Thank you.
And this is not a charade of his agents. Yes, his agents was ahead of the ball, probably trying to get him out of here. But I believe wholeheartedly now, after watching Giannis this year, since this summer, Giannis has made a decision that he did not want to be in Milwaukee anymore. And I think all of the things the way he's been back and forth in the media, because he's not really comfortable having to deal with this stuff, and he's not going to come and say what everybody wants him to say, that's why he said, if you notice, he uses words very, very good and smart and shrewd by saying, I will never ask for a trade. And he's not. He's not going to never ask for a trade, but at the same time, two things can be true at one time. He doesn't want to be here either. But he's not going to say that.
I'm here. I'm with you, Trell. I got to run. I'm up against the break. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Coming up next, Ian Cummings, NFL Draft Analyst, Pro Football Network. He's at the Senior Bowl and the practices. He joins us next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Yeehaw! Welcome in. It's a 3 o'clock hour. I hope you are well. You are smiling, having a good day. I know my guest is down in Alabama for the Senior Bowl. We are broadcasting live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie Usen producing the show. Still to come, former Bucks president Peter Feigin will join the show at 4:20. I am looking so forward to it. Charlie, you said some dude called in the break?
Mm-hmm. He did call in the break. He wanted me to ask you to ask Peter Feigin why he sold part of his ownership to Haslam.
Okay, so first off, if Peter Feigin had ownership of this team, I was never made aware of it, first off. Second off, if I'm right and he never did have ownership, I think you're talking about Mark Lazary. Those are two different people. Lazary sold his part to Jimmy Haslam a couple years ago.
Feigin might have more information on that. Maybe
also, the initial buyer was supposed to be Matt Ishaba, who ended up buying the Phoenix Suns, who then went out and have a $2 menu.
Yeah, I was going to say are way cooler than Jimmy Haslam. Annoying.
So horrible. All right, joining us now, a guy that is so good. He is Ian Cummings, NFL draft analyst, Pro Football Network. Follow him on X at IC_draft. IC_draft down at the Senior Bowl. Ian, thanks for coming on and joining us here on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. What's up, Ian?
What's up, Sparky? I love the energy. It's been too long, but we're talking now. I'm live at the Senior Bowl, actually, so watching the national team practice, day 3. A lot of excitement going on. Happy to be talking with you guys.
Hey, Ian, remember that time when you told me, yeah, man, I'm not going to be doing much draft stuff anymore. I'm going to be going in a different direction here at Pro Football Network. You remember that day when you told me that was going to be the case?
I do remember that. Yeah, I'm glad things changed. I'm very glad.
Every time I see you in somewhere else, scouting, I was like, yeah, he thought he wasn't going to do this anymore at Pro Football Network. Okay, so let's go back to the Shrine Bowl a little bit, because the Badgers actually had a defensive player stand out at the Shrine Bowl. And nowadays, with the Badgers being so bad, anytime anybody stands out in any type of postseason practice or bowl game, I think Badger fans are like, that's awesome, because at least we have something to celebrate.
Yeah, Mason Reiger, man, he showed out, and he did it in one-on-ones and team drills. 6'4", 245, almost 33-inch arms. I think it was 32.58, 32.68, I want to say. But yeah, I mean, I was watching that Shrine Bowl tape. I was firing it up, and he caught my eye multiple times. You're looking at a guy who was quick off the ball. I like his pass rush ability. I think he's got really good upper-lower synergy. He understands rush angles, but also, the element of timing and how to maximize the length he has. He's not the longest guy, but his timing, his ability to stack counters and moves and kind of play one move into the next. I think that was something that really played well against that group of offensive linemen. So I haven't regraded him yet after the event, but I'm thinking he'd probably be an early day 3, probably a pass rush specialist early in his career, because he's got to add a little bit more mass. But a player who definitely has a role waiting for him. He was one of the top risers from that event watching back. So a fun player for sure.
I would be fine with that if the Packers took him in, say, the 5th round or somewhere in that area. What about a guy that I saw some video on last night on X, a guy who I think really just killed himself by staying at Wisconsin? Vinny Anthony, the wide receiver for the Badgers, saw him make a nice over-the-shoulder catch in the end zone in practice yesterday. How has he looked? Where do you think he's headed?
Yeah, he's looked pretty solid. He had a little up and down day on the first day. And then yesterday, that play in one-on-ones was really fun. He stemmed his guy outside and then went in, showing really good hip flexibility and then tracking the ball in the end zone. As you said, it's really hard to track it over your shoulder. You got to get your head around, but you've also got to stay on your tracking path, and you got to get your hands in the right spot too. So he did that. Watching his film at Wisconsin, I always felt like he was a little overlooked because that passing attack was so anemic. You looked at, the route running flexibility. He can reduce and sink his hips if he needs to. He's got a pretty good route tree. I like how he gets after it as a blocker too. So a solid player who was probably overlooked because of his role in that offense. But I'd probably be looking at him early to mid day 3. But if he can stack days and and he's actually been pretty good in day 3 so far. He had a really nice catch over the middle. I think he's been running great routes and showing that shiftiness out of breaks. So I think he definitely had a chance to boost his stock this week. Interviews with teams will also be key, but could be going into the early day 3 range, in my opinion.
I'm fine taking him on day 3 as well if I'm the Green Bay Packers looking to add wide receivers, because you assume they're going to lose Romeo Doubs in free agency, so you would think that they're probably going to take a wide receiver at some point in this draft. Ian Cummings, NFL draft analyst, Pro Football Network, one of my favorites. Follow him on X at IC_draft. He's down at the Senior Bowl down in Alabama watching the practices. I think going into this draft, looking at the end of April, which we're still a far ways away, right? Got to get to the combine at the end of February and so forth. But cornerback is going to have to be an area for the Green Bay Packers that they're going to have to address. And I understand Keyshawn Nixon is a, quote, Pro Bowler. But having said that, they're still going to have to be aggressive, I think, at that position. How good is that position? And have you seen anything that's kind of turn your head a little bit down at the Senior Bowl, because the Packers are one of the most active teams that draft out of that Senior Bowl group every year? Oh, man. That was a great question. I mean, that was so good, Charlie.
You nailed it.
Damn. Come on. I can't do that whole thing again. You got me?
Apologies. I was muted. I muted myself.
So you heard it?
I heard the question. I apologize.
Okay, good.
Sparky didn't remember. So
I was like, there's no way I'm doing that again. Okay, go ahead.
You know what's funny? I started talking and then I was like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm on mute. So my bad. But answering the question, it's a really strong corner group, particularly in the top 75, top 100 range. It's going to be really interesting to see how many guys go before the Packers, because they don't have a first-round pick this year. But, it's a strong group. I think there's a lot of depth, one of the strongest, most high-volume positions in the class. As far as guys showing out at the Senior Bowl, it's been kind of interesting. It's been a lot of back and forth. I think these receiver groups and corner groups clash with each other pretty well. A few guys that have caught my eye that have been pretty consistent, I think, and one guy that's probably going to fit Jonathan Gannon's style. I mean, you talk about what he's been doing in Arizona, what he did with the Eagles. He's been one of the more quarters-heavy defensive coordinators, right? So I think guys who can code switch within reps, play man coverage, but then also switch to zone or start in zone and then switch to man. Guys who are very variable with their technique is going to be key. So I look at Malik Muhammad from Texas. I think he's got that kind of profile where he can play side saddle, but we've seen here at the Senior Bowl, he's not afraid to get in your grill and kind of get his hands up and dictate releases and press coverage. I really like TJ Hall from Iowa. I think he's quietly had a really solid week, and he might fit the size profile that they're looking for. He's not the biggest guy, but he's got above average size, and he can play press man. He's really technically proficient, a guy who's not going to give up any extra space on those releases. So those are a couple guys within that profile. But there have been guys that have been hot and cold, but are finishing the week strong. I think another one is Thaddeus Dixon from North Carolina. He started his career at Washington, but he's been locked down today. He's had a couple really nice plays. So looking at those three, they've stood out the most. But the Packers would have a lot of options to choose from based on where they pick.
What about on the offensive side of the football and that offensive line? The Packers have themselves in a position, Ian Cummings, where you have Zach Tom that potentially is going to have surgery. There's some question of how he'll be coming off of, a partially torn patellar tendon. So there's some debate of offensive linemen coming back from that. So that's right tackle, obviously your best lineman. Center, you may have to replace if you cut Elton Jenkins, which a lot of people think will happen. Sean Ryan then heads to free agency, so you may have to figure that out. And then left tackle is going to be Jordan Morgan, because nobody believes they're going to bring back Rasheed Walker. So that's an unknown as well as far as how good he'll be. How has offensive line looked so far?
Yeah, the offensive line group is another one that's kind of been challenged at the Senior Bowl by the defensive line group, a really stacked unit on the other side of the ball. But I think for the Packers in particular, right, they don't have a first-round pick. So any offensive lineman you do get, you're going to be gambling a little bit. But I think having so many places, so many positions to look at kind of serves them well, because there are a lot of positionally versatile players too in this class who played tackle but are projecting to guard or even center. And those are a few of those guys at the Senior Bowl. I'll throw a few names out there because there are a lot of positions to hit. But Demetrius Crownover from Texas A&M has been one of the better offensive linemen here at the Senior Bowl this year. He's a massive dude, 6'7", 330 pounds. I think he's got over 35-inch arms. So we saw the Packers shifting toward guys who can move the pile, guys who can generate pressure at the point of attack, guys like Anthony Belton, right? Aaron Banks in free agency. I think Demetrius Crownover, if you want to put him at right tackle, he's a guy who would fit that profile, explosive people mover in the run game, but His pass stats have been really good this week, too. I think Max Ihanakor from Arizona State is another one. He's a fun player because he didn't play football in high school. He came over from Nigeria. He played basketball and soccer, but almost 6'6", 325. He's got over 34-inch arms. He's another player who is very technically proficient for his experience level. He's still kind of learning, how to sync up his feet and his hands together and avoid giving up too much ground to rushers inside or outside. But once he gets that kick angle down, he's got the natural balance, the natural mobility for it, and he's got the size profile. He's a natural right tackle, and I think those two would fit there. If they're looking for a guy who can play center, there are a few really interesting players here at the Senior Bowl. I think Delby Lemieux from Dartmouth has looked really good, a strong anchor, a little bit on the lighter side, 6'5", 305, but he's shown he can bend his knees, get down in his stance, and keep a steady base. Sam Hecht is a lighter guy, but super athletic. Again, really good anchor, really good natural leverage, and he's got angle IQ in the run game. If you want to run some outside zone or wide zone, he can reach his landmarks and hinge around. There's also some converts. I think Carver Willis from Washington has looked really good. He played tackle with the Huskies, but he's played a few reps at center, and I think, he gets low in his stance very well. Very good at loading his base and playing with controlled lean to gather guys. And then Fernando Carmona Jr. from Arkansas. Really heavy-handed player, physical, great torque on extensions in the run game. But this week, too, he's taken reps at center, and I think he's been pretty balanced. So in terms of positional flex guys, the Packers have a lot of options to choose from in this class. And I think especially without a first-round pick, in the middle rounds, there will be plenty of potential diamonds in the rough to pick from. So it's going to be their pick of the litter, but I think they have an opportunity there.
Ian Cummings, NFL Draft Analyst, Pro Football Network. Follow him on X at IC_draft. You are watching us. Well, not him, really. He's on the phone. But streaming on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. If you ever miss anything here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, all you have to do is text the keyword Sparky to the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. You'll get a link bounced back to you from our podcast page. And you'll be able to see all the different things that you may have missed on the show. So again, text Sparky on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line to 414-677-1250. I have one more player I want to talk about because I've seen a lot on him. Tyron Montgomery, not a guy that anybody has ever seen play, from a small school, John Carroll University. Do tell how a guy from John Carroll University is in the Senior Bowl.
Well, he was productive. First off, he had over 100 catches, over 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns in his final year. And then the year before that, too, he had over 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns. So whenever you're seeing a Division III guy at the Senior Bowl, you want to see them produce at their level of competition. And, you look back at his film, and, it's a man amongst boys. This is a player who clearly deserved an audition, if you will, at the Senior Bowl. And he's passed as far as I'm concerned. He's been one of the best receivers in the entire group through the 3-day stretch. Today, he was a little bit shakier, a little bit less consistent with his hands. But the first 2 days, man, I looked at, you look at his Twitter header, he literally calls himself a route technician. And that's basically what it is, man. He's so good at sinking his hips, redirecting. He covers an insane amount of lateral explosive range on diamond releases and split releases. And he can offset guys so easy and then just sink his hips and explode. And then he can decelerate, reduce on top of those curls and hitches and comebacks. So a player who has a really ironclad separation framework athletically as far as speed and explosion. He's not going to be a burner on the vertical plane, but he did have enough speed to contend with the guys here. And I think whenever a Division III guy comes to the Senior Bowl and makes that emphatic of an introduction, it means something, right? I think back to a few years ago, Quinn Miners, who's an all-pro guard with the Denver Broncos, right? No one had heard of his name ever, and then he comes and dominates from day one. Yeah, you guys did, obviously. But he comes and dominates from day one, and then you look at what's happened in the NFL. So Tyron Montgomery, I think he made a lot of headway for himself this week. I think he's a player who definitely bears consideration. I think he could end up rising into the middle rounds, maybe even top 100. We'll see, but the separation framework is there. He had some really nice focus catches, tracking the ball over his shoulder, high pointing the football. He's just a natural, man. So I think at the end of it all, he could be a diamond in the rough. He's a fun player.
Pro Football Network is where you'll find all of Ian Cummings' work on X at IC_draft. I always talk about the mock draft simulator, which is the best thing on earth. I do it every night before I go to bed. Been doing that now for the last week or two. I love the mock draft simulator. Ian, tell everybody about Pro Football Network and what they can find there.
Yeah, so you can find obviously the mock draft simulator, but we've also got tools. I'm putting some of my grades on the site too with our draft hub. Still a work in progress, but we're getting more and more grades on there every day, and we'll have scouting reports on it by the end of the cycle too. When you talk about the mock draft simulator, more and more reports are being put into there as well. So ideally, we want to have all top 300 guys with a report that if you're a user, you can click on it, you can get a rundown of that player and how he might benefit your team, and then you can be the GM yourself. So we're making progress. We're going through the cycle. It's been a lot of fun. Still a lot of work to do, but that's the name of the game. So happy to be back on the grind. Happy to be talking back with you again, and I'm sure we will chat soon.
We will certainly chat soon. Ian, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Sparky. Thank you. Take care.
There he is. Ian Cummings down at the Senior Bowl down in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. Follow him again on X at IC_draft on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. Still to come, Peter Feigin, former Bucks president, joins us at 4:20. They had a big ceremony for him downtown Milwaukee earlier today. Looking forward to chatting with him as he is done with the Milwaukee Bucks. But we'll talk with him at 4:20. Coming up next, we're going to get into the Brewers. And Tommy didn't know we were doing this, but Tommy Wirtz is sitting in here. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have the #1 ranked farm system in baseball, according to many different websites. The Athletic sent theirs out today. Brewers #1, Dodgers #2. Okay, fine. I'm curious. I know the answer for our guy Tommy Wirtz, who hosts the leadoff show, and now will host the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show with Tim Allen after games. How excited do prospects get you when you start looking towards the future? Because what I've noticed is a lot of people on that Freddie Peralta deal were like, I don't care. I want to win now. I'm sick of being told, oh, just wait in a couple years, this guy's going to be a stud. Oh, wait, in a couple years, that guy's going to be a stud. And then they get here, and then we lose them to free agency, and then I get told to wait again. See a lot of that on social media. Then there are the optimists, right? Like Tommy was like, man, these guys get here we go. I feel like we got both. I'm just curious, what side are you on as a Brewers fan? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Wendy's really outdid themselves with these new biggie deals. $4, $6, $8. The new biggie deals are bigger and biggier than ever. If you're feeling something snacky, you can get the $4 biggie bites. Feeling something medium? $6 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger. And if you want to go full biggie, you can get the $8 biggie bundle with your choice of 2 sandwiches, a small soft drink, and a junior fry. The choice is yours. For a pretty biggie deal, it's got to be Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by the aforementioned Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky with you. Charlie Hughes on the other side of the glass. Our thanks to Ian Cummings for joining us, NFL draft analyst from Pro Football Network. Can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam. Hey, that time's coming, man. We're getting there next month. Game-winning touchdown, buzzer-beating 3. It's Sparky, you know the feeling. And there's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. The Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxe seating, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall. 2,000 square feet. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. And there is no better place to watch sports, man. I don't care what sport you like. You can like hockey. You can like tennis. You can like esports. Well, I don't know if they show esports, but they show almost everything there. And everything you possibly want to watch. They have it all right there. College basketball, pro basketball, football, baseball. They got everything, Charlie.
You can not like sports and go in there and just marvel at how big and how clear the screen is, eat all the damn food you want. It's awesome.
You know, you live long enough, and there are certain things that will always stick in your mind about life. And I will never forget the first time Charlie Hughes came back from the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I said, Charlie, what did you think of the Potawatomi Sportsbook? Charlie goes, colorful. Good analysis. Thanks, Charlie. Appreciate it, buddy.
That was an awe, Spark.
That was his analysis. Colorful. Thanks. Okay.
Well, and then Mitch dragged me over to the food right away. So
of course,
that's what I was looking at next.
Shocked that Mitch Nellis dragged you to food. I am just absolutely shocked and amazed by such a thing. Okay, I want to switch gears here. We got to get Charlie Sounds of the day. That comes up in about 15 minutes or so. The Milwaukee Brewers farm system ranked number 1 by The Athletic. I got that email today with the story. I don't know if y'all subscribe to The Athletic or not. And everybody, is cutting costs here and cutting costs there and so forth. But I'm telling you, man, bang for the buck. That place has as many big name and really, really talented writers as there is out there in one spot. So if you enjoy reading, do you still enjoy reading? Because I feel like we've become a video society. But for those of you that enjoy reading still, it's a great website. So I get it. And I was like, okay, they're number 1. Dodgers are number 2. And I'm reading the paragraph, because, a little paragraph on each team. And it was pointed out that the belief is that this farm system has done better since Matt Arnold has taken over than it did when David Stearns was in charge of it. That they have zeroed in on international prospects better. They have really honed in on what works and what type of players and characteristics they want to put into this farm systems and who they feel like they can develop. And they've done a much better job of identifying younger kids, prospects that works for them, regardless of size, weight, speed, whatever. They know what works for them, and that's why they've become so successful and at such a high level, Charlie. And again, to my partner in winning that Interview of the Year award, Matt Arnold, doing a great job with that farm system.
And I think that's really fair to give him that praise. I think when you look over the past quarter century, the past 25 years, what I grew up with, it started in that bottom, and then they built it up to that point where they were perennially contending, and they were able to do that by having these high draft picks that turn into Ryan Braun and the Ricky Weeks and all these cornerstones of that franchise. And then they had to find a way to stay competitive, and they weren't able to do that. And Matt Arnold came in and was able to make it a more consistent process by being able to scout kids when they are 15 years old and track them through that process until they're 18, until they're ready to be signed, and giving them a organization that shows they care about them too and was willing to support them as they transition from a world to a completely new world that they've never even dreamed of being a part of. That takes a lot. Getting these people and players acclimated to getting to the league, this all has to do with the way that Matt Arnold runs this organization and allowing these players to feel comfortable and come in and still end up at a higher rate, reaching that potential that we haven't seen before.
That's the thing too. Like when the Brewers weren't that good, right? They bring in Ned Yost. Doug Melvin, after the fact, said Ned was on honeymoon for 2 or 3 years because I didn't care if we won or not. I really didn't. I was more concerned about developing that farm system. And Ned would literally, when Hardy, Hart, Weeks, and those guys, when those guys got to about AA, he started telling you how the lineup was going to look when those guys got there. That's where he was at. He's in a major league office before a game or whatever. Oh, yeah, I think he's going to bat here. He's going to bat here. This is how it's going to look.
They were these high draft picks for bad teams that were studs.
And they were all coming together in the Brewers farm system, right? So they started planning that. In the meantime, you guys got guys like Captain Jack Voigt, the Matt Vasgersian called him Captain Jack. You got guys like that at the major league level, and you're just letting time go by waiting for these guys to get here. That might have been, we'd have to look. The last time the Brewers had the number 1 ranked farm system might have been back then. I don't know if they've had the number 1 ranked farm system since then. Maybe. But it's different now than it was then, because then you were just waiting for any type of positive news, right? Corey Hart comes up and makes his debut. Everybody shows up. Can't wait to see it. Fielder shows up. Everybody shows up. Can't wait to see it. People didn't care. People always talk about, how did you get so many people back to the stadium after you lost a generation or two of fan support like the Brewers did? Like when I was in high school, and this was 1990 or in that area, right? People were like athletic fans. Ricky Henderson, Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco. People, my friends, most of them never wore Brewers stuff. Most of them never went to Brewers games because they weren't all that good. And then it's, we're going to build a new stadium, and then everything's going to be fixed. So then you build a new stadium, and you have the worst record in the history of the organization right off the jump. And you're like, oh my goodness, this is never going to end. And that is why that farm system was so big. And that is where, if we're going all the way back, that's where, like when Tommy does the leadoff show, is building the star segment that he does when he looks at the minor leagues. Jim Powell, who was the play-by-play voice back then, did the Down on the Farm report on his post-game show every night. And he'd tell you what Prince Fielder did, what Ryan Braun did, what Ricky and Corey and J.J. Hardy, all these guys were doing every night. And fans just ate it up because here we come. They were winning championships at every level of the minor leagues. And most of us were like, man, if they're this much better than everybody else's minor leaguers, like, we're going to go. We're going to go to the damn World Series with this crew. Obviously, it didn't happen. This time, this team is consistently at the major league level, competing at a high level. So now you're not asking all of these guys at the top of the charts, top 10 or whatever, they all don't have to produce. Back then, you needed all of them to be productive Major League Baseball players. And by the luck of whatever, they all pretty much did. Now, Ricky Weeks never ended up being the hitter that everybody thought he was going to be, but he still ended up being okay.
A memorable player for a lot of people growing up with that team.
Played for a long time. So now you don't have to do that, but the issue still remains of, can you keep guys long-term? Fielder leaves. Braun, you get signed because Fielder turned that deal down first. People forget. They went to Fielder with that same deal, and he said no. Then they went to Braun. Braun said yes and took it. It should have been Fielder here long-term and not Braun. But they went with Braun. He goes, and then J.J. Hardy eventually ends up leaving, and that thing eventually dismantles. This group here that's coming, you already got Churio signed long-term. Now, how many of these other guys can you get to play together for as long as possible? The question is this: how excited do prospects get you when looking forward to the future for the Milwaukee Brewers? Or are you one of those people that simply are like, dude, I'm sick of hearing about prospects because A, we never keep them if they're good, and B, it still never results in a World Series, no matter how talented our farm system is. Which side of the ledger are you on? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. Charlie, which side of the ledger are you on?
I mean, I'm excited. And I think that all has to do with, like we've talked about, Matt Arnold and the way they've been able to develop a lot of these guys, and Pat Murphy. Every guy that has come up through this farm system has at least been able to show some kind of talent at the major league level. I would say Carlos Rodriguez maybe hasn't been able to really kind of breach that point. He's a higher ranked prospect, but he's still been given opportunities, and he hasn't been god awful when he's gotten up to this point. But Bryce Terang has each year gotten exponentially better. Sal Frelick has shown that he can be a platinum glove level player in the outfield and then can have a little pop on offense. You've seen players that maybe weren't even high prospects, guys like Joey Ortiz, that have been able to come up and be a part of this team at least. Same with Caleb Durbin, and how that development changes once they get to the Brewers organization. And then you get players like Jackson Churio And a lot of these young guys, Jacob Mizorowski, that are at the high end, it's not just everybody at the high end, it's everybody. Everybody that they bring up is able to contribute in their own way somehow. And that's why I'm excited, because I trust this team and what they've been able to do.
Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250. Scotty Tiffany, she texts in, I'm optimistic. Yes, it builds for the future, but we also get high-level talent in these prospects that we can use sooner than later in key positions. A consistent hitting shortstop, maybe Jet Williams, can help us now as well as in the long term. That's Scotty Tiffany. I don't want Jet Williams near the shortstop position. I want Jet Williams to play in the outfield. And be out there with the other shorts stuff, Sal Frelick, and go from there. That's where he belongs. You've got Made coming at shortstop, and that probably is your future at shortstop. More than likely, you have Cooper Pratt, who's going to probably have a chance to be here before Made. We'll see how he hits. He's got to hit better than he hit last year. Cooper Pratt is another one that can come up, more like a Bryce Terang-ish type player, maybe, that can come up and play shortstop. Like, they've drafted so many middle infielders over the last several years. That is the one position where I do not worry about having a guy that can play there. Same with second base. I don't worry about second base. They got plenty of guys that can play second base. What they don't have, when you look at their top prospect list, they don't have a ton of outfielders with a ton of talent where you go, oh, yeah, that dude's going to be a stud. The one guy you had was Churio. There's not much behind it.
Yeah, but you have a lot of young players at your major league level right now that were a part of it. Like you said, Jackson Churio, Sal Frelick, Garrett Mitchell, if he can stay healthy, knock on all the wood possible on earth, hopefully he can be a part of that. Brandon Lockridge is a guy you traded for last season who's still a younger player that could potentially be a part of that rotation moving forward here. Like we saw Isaac Collins develop last season into that type of player. And then you still have some good players. Like Braylon Payne is going to be a really good prospect. That's one of my favorite players in this farm system. And I think he's going to be
first-round pick.
Exactly. Have that opportunity as you keep moving forward here. So, yeah, he can fit in the outfield. What this also tells me is that you just have room to trade players at that position too, which also still gets me excited about this farm system, about what they potentially could turn into at a trade deadline or in the offseason if the Brewers decide to get aggressive at some point.
It's been a long time since they got aggressive. It's been a long time.
If you feel confident in the MLB roster and you got so much talent at that minor league roster, it may be time. Maybe you just needed an 85% confidence rating to get to that point.
The last guy they got aggressive on was Yelich.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only. I think that was the only time Stearns got aggressive. Matt Arnold, we haven't seen that yet, right? So does he go find that guy to be aggressive on? Side note, Eugenio Suarez still's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't know. Like, Tommy always gets mad at me because I don't say I want him that much. Like, I don't know.
What if you went 1-25?
Maybe that just feels like a lot. I like Andrew Fisher. I like Brock Wilkin. Give somebody else a shot, man.
It is
you got players.
It is a lot, but it's 1 year, right? You're renting them. And if it doesn't work out, you can move them at the deadline if need be, right? So, and if it doesn't work out and you can't trade them, you're off the books after this year. And you're off the books of Woodruff, too. You're clearing like almost $50 million in salary going into the next year when you may or may not have a season, depending on the work stoppage. And more than likely, that's when they pay Made. My guess is Made will get paid after this season.
Yeah. I think if you go into spring training, you play a couple of games, you don't like what you're seeing, sure, and he's still out there, because at this rate, he's still going to be out there. Half of like these free agents don't look like they're signing until right up to the season start, like we saw last season, the season before. So you might still have a shot. I say go into spring training, see what you got a little bit, see if you like what you're seeing, and then if you feel still that desperate, even with young players and how you're watching them, go for it. Fine.
Hot Stove Weekly, Wednesday nights, 5 to 7 here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Last night, they had both guys on, Sproat and Brandon Sproat and Jet Williams. We're on with Tim Allen and Tommy Wirtz. If you missed any of that, all you have to do is go to wisportsradio.com to go back here. Those interviews. Another fun show last night with Tim and Tommy. 414 on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. Does Jets supplant Joey this season until Made is up?
No.
Murphy talked so highly about Joey Ortiz at the end of the year, similar to how he talked about Terang before spring training last year, that they're going to give him a long run here. That does not mean that Jet won't be on the major league roster. I think he will be, but they're not going to let him go play that position until Joey fails for a couple of months. And I'm going to believe in Murphy that this is going to get figured out with Joey Ortiz, and we're going to see something happen offensively that we haven't seen. That's what I'm going to go with. And defensively, if you go based on metrics, his year wasn't as good as we all thought it was based on defensive metrics. So that's something else that also needs to prove. So not only his bat, but defensively, he's got to get better.
Yeah, he took a step back last year on defense, and that's what bothered me the most about Joey Ortiz. I think you also give some other guys opportunities before that. Cooper Pratt probably deserves an opportunity before that.
Hits.
Giving a couple of these third baseman shots and maybe moving around the guys that are at the MLB level, like Durbin and Terang, if you want to move him to shortstop potentially now that you haven't done it last season, give that a shot before you go to Jet Williams there.
Ron in Rome uses the Nicolay Law Talk text line. I'm looking forward to this next Brewer season. If it's like last year, I'll be perfectly happy. Win the division, that'll be great. I think we can reach the NL Championship Series, but I don't expect to be in the World Series. There's too much of a payroll disparity from the top teams. Ron in Rome. I will be straight up honest with you. I don't go into any season. Well, I should take that back. The last time I went into a season thinking, okay, this team should be in the World Series was when they had all of those guys, right? When you had Greinke and Markham and all of those guys and that stacked lineup, that was the last time where I was like, all right, they got a chance to go win a World Series. They've got a chance. I have not had that feeling since. And I don't have that feeling right now. Now, as we talked about, maybe when some of these prospects come up, Fisher's at third base, Made's up here, and he's playing at shortstop or second or wherever he is playing. And then whatever happens at first base, because they've got a bunch of guys that can play first base right now, too. After that, first and third was a vacant position when Matt Arnold took this job. And in a couple of years, he stacked it completely and said, now I got power for both. Now it's just a matter of getting them there. But they've got guys now. They can play both positions. And a big year for Andrew Vaughn, right? So if Vaughn goes out and plays well, then you got to make a decision on paying him or not paying him and moving forward. Because if Vaughn ends up being a stud, like he showed for parts of the second half, that's a huge addition to the middle of this lineup. Take a quick timeout, come back. Charlie Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't go anywhere. Sparky with you. So Scott, the Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. See Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Hope y'all are doing well. Former Bucs president Peter Feigin will join us coming up at 4:20. Don't go anywhere. Tommy Wirtz is in here looking at all of these farm systems that were number one and then how that translated at the end of the day into how good they were. We got to get to Charlie Sounds today, but quickly, Tommy Wirtz, what did we learn? That when you have the number one farm system, your chances of going to the World Series are good?
From 2020, from 2009 till now, the chances of going to the World Series, there are a number of farm systems who have done it over the time. You have the Texas Rangers doing it 2 years before they went to the World Series. You have the Kansas City Royals doing it 3 years before they went to the World Series. The Dodgers 2 years before they went to the World Series for the first time back in 2018 in that stretch. You have the Atlanta Braves who did it with a 2019 top farm system when they turned it into a World Series in 2021. And you have the Tampa Bay Rays doing it twice in that time, back in 2007, turning it into it in 2009. And then, of course, what they did with 2020, losing they had the number one farm the year before, too. There are countless examples of the number one farm system working about half the time into translating into a World Series within the next 3 years. Just saying that if you are on the fence,
Brewers were won in what year?
2004, I believe.
And 2003.
In 2003. So it's been over 20 years since they've had the number one farm system, and they got to the LCS with a lot of those guys, obviously, when we start talking about Braun and Fielder and all of those guys.
That took longer than all the other guys I just named.
Yeah. But when they
Cubs too is the other one.
And then they rebooted that when those guys were gone and added Kane and Yelich, and they went again to the LCS. But again, did not go to the World Series. So what we know is they should be in a position to make a fairly significant run here. Once the guys that are in the system get added to what they have already, we should be looking good. Now, whether or not that happens, we'll see.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, time for Charlie Sounds of the Day. Top 3 clips that Charlie picks from around the world of sports normally. What do we got, Charlie?
All right, so first up here, we are going to head on over to Speak Easy, where Emmanuel Acho, the podcast that he hosts, was discussing why Shedeur Sanders shouldn't be as excited about the Todd Monken hire as most people are for the Browns.
Because any expectation for Shedeur Sanders under Todd Monken, I believe, will lead to disappointment. There is nothing about Todd Monken as a head coach that should get you excited. As an offensive coordinator, you could say Lamar Jackson had an MVP season under Todd Monken. As an offensive coordinator, Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdowns and 4 interceptions under Todd Monken. As an offensive coordinator, you can make arguments under Todd Monken. Stetson Bennett won 2 national championships at Georgia under Todd Monken. But as a head coach, no. Nothing about Todd Monken as a head man gets me excited. I need to see who the offensive coordinator is going to be. That's what I need to see. But what I don't yet see, T, is like, how is Todd Monken going to command that locker room, command that group of men? And also, if I'm Shedeur or anybody in that locker room, why am I listening to Todd Monken? What have you won on an NFL level as a head coach? You're not even a head coach on an NFL level. So I don't even have expectations for Shedeur under Todd Monken, because I believe any expectations I would have, he would not meet. Because why am I excited about it, T?
I don't know what the response to that was. It should have been, did you just hear what you said? And then you're following that up with, well, why should he listen to him? You just rattle off MVP. You just rattle off Stetson at Georgia. Like, you just rattle off all the reasons why Shedeur Sanders should be happy to have Todd Monken as head coach. And I'm the wrong guy to talk about this, because that was the guy I wanted. If they got rid of LaFleur, I wanted Monken to be the next head coach. That was the guy that I was looking for. My camera just like literally died. What in the world? It went red and then went boop, and it went down. I have no idea. It's on me now, but I don't know how much longer. Okay, so anyways, I wanted Monken to be the next guy if it wasn't going to be LaFleur. I was totally in. And obviously that didn't happen. I think Monken's a great coach. I don't think there's any chance I want to coach anything owned by Jimmy Haslam, but I I think it's a good fit for Shedeur Sanders or any other quarterback they go with. All right, what's next?
Next up, we are going to head on over to the Dan Patrick Show, where Mike Florio of Pro Football Focus was discussing the Pro Football Hall of Fame changing their standards.
I think that the Hall of Fame was sensitive to criticism from people like Deion Sanders that too many people are getting in. But raising the bar, when you've already had a bar here, it's not fair to the next class of candidates to say, we're raising the bar higher. Even though we've put all these other people in under a different standard, we're now raising the bar higher. The only solution to Deion's concern, and we've been advocating this for 3 years now, create an upper room of the Hall of Fame, the best of the best. We have a running list that we post every year at the time the Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremony happens, updated, whether or not there's any new ones this year, that are the no-brainer mic drop, these guys are in. And the sad part about this is Belichick would be on that list. He's a no-brainer mic drop, best of the best, and he couldn't get through the door the first time around. That's what I think makes this so frustrating to most people.
Not me. I don't approve of cheating, so I completely support them not putting him in. Having said that, the Deion Sanders thing, this has been going on for several years. Like when Leroy Butler went into the Hall of Fame, he was talking the same rhetoric Deion Sanders was about having, separate areas in the Hall of Fame for the best of the best of the best of the best and all this other stuff. It's just all ego driven, and I want to be separated from these guys who I'm way better than. And it's just Deion Sanders looking to feed his ego some more. Like that doesn't happen on a day-to-day basis anyhow. All right, what's next?
Last up here, we're going to hear from Danny Parkins on taunting penalties in professional sports. This is on First Things First.
Pro athletes should not be penalized for taunting, talking trash, or showing up their opponent. That's right. I have the audacity to say taunting should be legal in pro sports. Now, allow me to address some of the inevitable responses. So you're excusing everything? Of course not. Punching your opponent, spitting on your opponent, or other egregious acts are what unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are for, and those, of course, should exist. And guess what? If celebrations get so excessive that they delay the next play from occurring, good news. We have delay of game penalties for that. Now, you'll say, what happened to Barry Sanders scoring a touchdown and graciously handing the ball to the ref? Good for Barry Sanders. You can prefer that, just like I can prefer waiting to see what Terrell Owens was going to do next. We should have less hate in the world and more hate in sports.
His closing line to that was, we should have less hate in the world, but more hate in sports.
I ran out of time. He goes on for like another 2 minutes.
All I have to say that is that's Danny Parkins, everybody. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Up next, Green and Gold Update.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy. Sparky here with you. Live on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on a Thursday. It is Friday already. Tomorrow, everybody. Coming up here, 18 minutes. Peter Feigin, former Milwaukee Bucks president. I love me some Peter Feigin. You know me. You know I love Peter Feigin. And I've always had a good relationship with him. I'm going to miss having Peter Feigin as part of that organization. The Lazary leaving because it was Jimmy Haslam just was like a punch to the gut. If there would have been somebody else who I didn't have such a negative feel towards, I think I would have been okay with it, right? I mean, I talked to Lazary once or twice, but didn't really have a relationship necessarily. Feigin here, we got a relationship. He comes to the toy drive every year and back and forth, and that stings. Like I'm not pleased with him leaving at all. But now the next question becomes Fascitelli, Wes Edens, these other New York guys. When do they then leave next? Are they the next ones potentially trying to sell their stock in the team to get out of Dodge before the house burns down?
I just really don't want Wes Edens to be the sole or main majority owner.
Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah.
I was fine with Wes Edens.
Yeah, no. You just brought it up and it got stuck in my head. I don't even want to think about Jimmy Haslam's name. No. It's just so frustrating. Again, seeing what he's doing to the Browns on a consistent basis.
Did you see his GM and search committee did not recommend Todd Monken to be the guy? He said, I'm good. I'm going to hire Todd.
So why did you even have a search committee, dude?
Well, agreed. But now again, I like Todd Monken too, right? So I'm not going to blast him for hiring Todd Monken, but why is Andrew Berry your general manager if you ain't going to listen to him? What's the point?
Why is anybody even just be the head coach, be the GM?
Correct.
Just
be Jerry Jones.
Right.
Just get rid of Barry. You be the GM. You run.
Yeah, but then he doesn't want to be Jerry Jones because he wants to be Jimmy Haslam. So if he does all that stuff, he's just going to get called Jerry Jones, and he's not going to like that.
Al Davis ran his own ship.
Again, he just wants to be Jimmy Haslam, so he's got to do it his own way. He's not going to copy anybody else doing it.
Whatever.
So annoying.
Whatever. Peter Feigin, former Bucks president. We'll talk to him. Again, coming up at 4:20. Tell your friends, tell your family, text everybody. Wisconsin Sports Radio Network streaming live on Exxon and YouTube. He's going to join us on video, so that also is going to be fun. So I can look at Peter Feigin's beautiful face. That's all coming up. But first, we have to get to this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
Okay, here we go. Green and gold update time. So earlier today, Charlie and I were in my office. We were doing our show meeting. And we're like, okay, green and gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We've got to do some Packer stuff here. So we were looking around to talk about something because obviously there's not a ton popping. They hired a coach today that's going to come in and coach linebackers for Jonathan Gannon, who still hasn't been announced by the Packers to be the defensive coordinator. So he is going to leave college towards the DC and come back and coach linebackers like he did for the Cardinals for Gannon a couple years ago. Okay, fine. So there's not a ton to talk about there. So then I saw this list that Charlie saw as well, this top 100 in Sports Illustrated, top 100 players. And you had 3 guys on that top 100. You had 1 guy in the top 20 at 17 in Micah Parsons. Now, we can debate amongst ourselves if we think Micah Parsons should have been higher than 17 or whatever. But really, at the end of the day, they had 3 guys listed in the top 100. Jordan Love was a second-rated guy. He was what, top 60? I think he was at 59.
50, yeah, 59, 56, one of those two. I'll
Correct.
double check.
So you had 3 total in the top 100. My question is this. Do you think the Packers need more, quote, star players on this roster in order for them to get back to the Super Bowl? Do they need more high-end talent? Do they need more top-shelf type guys that can have bigger impacts? We talked about we haven't seen Matt Arnold get aggressive and go and get a guy to this point. Well, Brian Gutekunst has been aggressive several times, whether it be in free agency or whether it now be in the trade market to go out and get Micah Parsons, right? So you've seen him go get their best player, their most talented player on the roster, according to Sports Illustrated, is Micah Parsons, no doubt. Then there's a big gap to the other two on this list, with Jordan Love being the second guy. I looked at that list and I thought to myself, okay, so when the Packers were rolling, you had Charles Woodson on that list. You had Aaron Rodgers on that list. You had more higher end guys that were on that list year to year than maybe you do now. I mean, Bakhtiari was an all-pro type guy and one of the best left tackles in football as well. Clay Matthews was one of the better edge rushers in football on a year-to-year basis to go along with that. The wide receiving core, Jordy Nelson was a stud. Devontae Adams was a stud. There was just a lot more star-like players over that stretch with Ted Thompson running the ship. And not that he went out and traded for anybody, because he really didn't. I mean, his most impactful trade, who was it, Ryan Grant? He gets Ryan Grant at the end of training camp with the Giants, I think it was. And then all of a sudden he bursts out and has a great year. I think that's who it was. I think it was Grant. But I mean, again, looking at this, and we all say, hey, Matt LaFleur should have got the team farther this year in the playoffs. It's like, okay, well, first of all, your star players, your best players, for the most part, were out and hurt. Zach Thomas, your best offensive lineman, did not play. Micah Parsons, your best defensive player, did not play. Right? I mean, you cannot look at this and go, they need to overcome all of that. The Niners, they were beat up too. They also were missing a bunch of players, and their road ended short of the Super Bowl too, as expected. And that's what makes that Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl all the more crazy when you got 16, 17 guys on IR, and you're able to overcome all of that and still get in. That's what makes it even more impressive than anything else. So if it is, yes, they need more star players. Yes, they've got to have higher end talented players. Well, there's two ways that's going to happen. One, the players you have to take a sizable jump. Christian Watson has to take a sizable jump, because right now you've got three dudes, right? You have your guy Micah Parsons, you have Jordan Love, and Tucker Kraft. Those are your three dudes. Now you need Christian Watson to take a jump, right? You need Xavier McKinney or Evan Williams to take a jump. You need Edgerrin Cooper to go be that guy and take a jump. I think you could argue on the Packers' behalf that you do not have to trade for a star player. You do not have to sign a star player. You do not have to trade up in the draft to go get a star player. You legitimately can look in your locker room and go, man, you're uber talented. You're uber talented. You and you, all of you are uber talented, to 4 or 5 guys, and go, I just need 2 of you to finally reach your ceiling, get to your ceiling, and show the world how great you truly can be. If they can get that to happen in an offseason and through a regular next season, this team is more than talented enough to go win a Super Bowl.
I think so. And you got to stay healthy, obviously, like we've been saying. But
right.
Again, I think when you look at the players that were on the field, when they were at their peak, when everybody was as healthy as they could be, and that was no point through the season was the whole team as healthy as they could be, but the defense specifically, you saw Edgerrin Cooper feed off that. And then once you saw guys start getting hurt around him, you saw his play kind of plateau a little bit throughout the season. I think you could say the same thing about a Quay Walker throughout a majority of this season too. They need that energy from all these other guys. And as long as everybody else is trying to take that next step forward, that's what you're hoping that radiates to the rest of those players. But that's also what Jonathan Gannon is brought in to do. Jeff Hafley was a guy who, speaking wise, could go and get those results and get that energy that way.
Right.
But when the play on the field wasn't matching that, talk doesn't do as much. Talk doesn't motivate you nearly as much as just winning football games. Jonathan Gannon's a guy out here that, yes, isn't the same kind of motivator that Jeff Hafley is, but through his time as a defensive coordinator has shown that he can get the best play on the field, and that's going to get guys going way more than just saying words.
Totally agree with you. Let's go to the Nicolay Law Talking text line. Peter Feigin, former Bucks president, joins us coming up at 4:20. Johnny, north side of Milwaukee, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Johnny?
What's going on, Spark? How you feeling today?
Doing good, bud.
Man, I feel like the Packers are literally one star away. And I've been screaming, we don't know what we got in Golden. So I really want to answer it all in a nutshell. I think we need one more. We need shoe-in, like a shoe-in Pro Bowler. One more on offense and one more on defense. What positions? That's kind of iffy because I want to say wide receiver. I like our wide receiver. I like the development, but we still don't have that. You got to have it. He's going to get it, and we're going to get it because of this guy dying. It's just not happening. I know what we got in. I know the Christian Watson argument. I got plenty love for Romeo Dobbs, all of that entailing and too. But it seems like we missing it on receiver, and I keep forgetting. Kraft was out, so I'll give us a little wiggle room on that. And we don't know if we got in gold, and we've seen some golden moments toward the end. I don't know if it's going to go up or down, but defensively, what we thought Cooper would end up being, and we still, you guys are still hoping for Quay. It's just how it didn't happen this year.
No.
It's like we missing one more level of an all-pro, or a Pro Bowler that can go out there and get it. I got you with Xavier. He's out there. I got you. Then you got Micah. But I've been screaming this for how long? Say one player cannot mean that much to you. It just can't when you got 52 other people on the roster.
But what you need is Adrian Cooper to take the next step. Quay Walker, I don't know if he's back or not. We'll have to wait and see. Thanks for the call. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Because Pro Football Focus has him way down, and then ESPN has Quay Walker way up when you talk about free agent rankings. So we'll see how the Packers grade him, and if they get him back or not. They may have to replace Quay Walker as well. Coming up next, the former Milwaukee Bucks president, the one and only Peter Feigin, is going to stop by and join us. They had a big celebration for Peter Feigin earlier today. Mitch Thunder Nellis from the Mason Crosby Show. He was down there hanging out and texting me from the event. I was stuck back here in meetings all day. And saying Peter Feigin was like, I told Chris Milton I wasn't going to cry and I got to get through this. And Giannis is back there taking pictures with Peter and all of that. And it was a celebration for a dude that deserves a celebration, in my opinion. We'll talk to Peter Feigin up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And since we are going to be talking about the Bucks, don't forget, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky with you. Charlie Hughes, another side of the glass. I gotta say, man, this is a difficult one for me here. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Sad stuff here, man. This is sad stuff. I mean, I'm happy he's not, but this is sad stuff. Milwaukee Bucks president Peter Feigin joins us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. I know you had your celebration today. I saw pictures. Our guy Mitch Thunder Nellis was down there from the Mason Crosby show earlier today, hanging out and giving me play-by-play texting about you were trying not to cry because you had to deal with Chris Middleton and all this other stuff that was going on. And I'm sorry I couldn't get down there. But, like, how has this whole ending kind of been for you?
I think, like, unimaginable. I think this is kind of surreal. I was kind of looking up there and Giannis came, my mom's out there, and like these guys in a city that I've adopted for 12 years are honoring me in a way that you couldn't even like fathom. It's kind of surreal. It's nuts. It's like, it's, you know, honestly on a really personal level, like beyond overwhelming and humbling and like so proud, like, you know, just because I just think this chapter of my life has been the most satisfying, incredible chapter ever.
I remember when we met and the Bucks media rights deal was up, and our station in Milwaukee, we're on the statewide network here, Green Bay, Appleton, Wausau, Duluth, Superior, and of course in Milwaukee. And at that time we were just in Milwaukee. And I went in with my boss at the time, Tom Parker, and Chuck Sullivan, who was our general manager in Milwaukee. We went in, talked to the Bucks. We love to be the Bucks, whatever. And we sit down at the table, and Peter and all of his guys are there. And Peter's like, "Man, you're so good to us. I worry like that people think that we're paying you to say all the nice things that you say about us." But at that point, coming off of what we had come off of, I just wanted new energy. I wanted new blood. I wanted new life. I wanted new. That's what I wanted because I had just been in the desert for 20 years. And now I saw water, Peter, and you all coming in brought us water and more. I don't think anybody around my age, at least, I'll be 50 this year. God, I'm old. But nobody around my age I thought we'd ever see a championship be won in this town. And to know that happened is amazing. I don't think anybody thought that the Deer District would ever really be a thing the way that you all made it to be. And I think we talk about revitalizing downtown Milwaukee. And that ownership group, you going out there, kissing babies, shaking hands, and making connections and telling people how great they are to get deals done. I mean, that all shaped downtown Milwaukee completely differently than what it was when you first got here.
I don't know how to answer the statement. Definitely not. I can just tell you that, like, you know, it kind of like we've talked probably, you know, every few months for the last 12 years. You got me addicted.
Toy Drive?
Toy Drive. You got me addicted to Fleet Farm. My wife, like, literally, now I walk my dog in Fleet Farm, which is like just incredible. Like another benefit you didn't even teach me. I didn't even know was like a kind of win. But I mean, Sparky, I think it all kind of starts, you know, from our ownership group just kind of reimagining and thinking like how great things can be and never thinking of like anything but the gold standard of like, hey, we want to compete at the highest level. We want to invest in this. When we build something, we want to make it the best. We don't want to think of ourselves as a small market. And that's just so much fun to work under and kind of drive like in a leadership position. You know, it's like what you wish for is like you're working for people who actually want to see growth, want to see performance, want to see winning. And it's kind of like we've nurtured this community, you know, around the team and internally that's all like very excited about like who we are, where we live, like what results are. It's like really fun.
In Milwaukee, I can't speak for the rest of the state, but in Milwaukee, it's always been Packers, Brewers, and then Bucks were a very distant third at that point. You probably could have put the Badgers in front of them. From that, when you all got here, to 60,000 people out in the Deer District for that run and how crazy it was. And then the championship parade and everything that went along with it. I definitely couldn't have imagined it catching fire the way it did and bringing fans to the Bucks that were probably never fans prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, you know it because you live it as a career. It's like the magic of sports entertainment, right? It is like the emotional, visceral kind of connect. And when you get it, it's like you can drive like so much like positive equity and movement and just affect so much. I mean, listen, like people ask, like, what are the moments? Like, what are the moments like you did? I mean, one is looking over the balcony and seeing like the 60,000 fans. One is like in a freaking parade, like around like everything and kind of what that means, and like opening buildings and kind of, all the fun and it's actually like a part of your life. It's awesome.
It is awesome. Peter Feigin, former Bucks president, still hurts me to say that, joining us now here on the guest hotline, brought to you by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. See Sparky fly for you. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. So, talked about downtown being redone. Amazing. When you guys decided to do the Fiserv Forum, and I know you're going to disagree with this because I've been saying this for years, it was one of the easiest push-throughs of getting a new stadium that I think I've seen in quite some time. Y'all did a great job. But you do that. Now it comes down to Bradley Center. And then you decide, it took y'all a while, but what was going to be the right thing? You go with the concert venue, multiple concert venues in one building, obviously. Was that in anticipation of where we eventually could be here? Where, okay, when Giannis leaves or whatever this is that ends, how do we keep as much traffic flowing through that Deer District in that area? Was that part of the plan with that vacant land?
Yeah, I mean, the plan is really simple. It's aggregating people, and you do that through content, and you do that through scheduled events. And how do we go from 150 today to 200 next year with the concert venue to having a Moxie Hotel and the Trade Hotel? And how do you have hundreds, if not thousands, kind of aggregating in an area on a daily basis? And that is like what the economic boost is. Like that is creating, the energy that you need to really be a 24/7, 365, a year district and neighborhood and place. And that's like, I think COVID gave us a little bit of a pause, but we're there now. And like the difference of having another 250,000 people in and around the district with the concert venue, the difference of having a couple hotels to have the right restaurants and entertainment, those are all components to like creating the destination. And like that's the key. It's like, how do we become that magnet for local, for regional, and for national? And I think we've done that like over time.
So Mark Lazary, when he leaves and sells to Jimmy Haslam, one of the quotes that I saw from Mark Lazary was "thunderstorms are near," or something along those lines from Lazary when he said that. And immediately, that's how this was a couple years ago, obviously. And immediately your brain goes to, man, what in the world is going on here? Is this involving Giannis? What is really going on? And then there was all kinds of talk about why he got out one way or the other. Now we're potentially on the brink of Giannis leaving here at some point. And now you're leaving. Are you leaving with umbrella in hand on the way out of Milwaukee, Peter Feigin?
I am selfishly and excitingly leaving to kind of explore a next chapter, to spend more time in New York with my kids and my mother and like my wife and her family. And I just couldn't have imagined like how fulfilling these last 12 years are. And I think I'm just ready for a personal and professional pivot to think about what's next. So I think our growth is limitless, kind of in Milwaukee, and kind of the city has like that kind of motivation to kind of get there. But for me personally, like I kind of want the next challenge.
Okay, well, in 10 years, you can come back and fix it again then if we find ourselves back in the desert, Peter Feigin, because that's what I'm concerned about. Where has Wes Edens been? Because we haven't heard or seen from Wes Edens in quite some time. And there for a while, we always were seeing Wes Edens interviews and quotes and so forth. And there really hasn't been much coming from him or from John Horst, the general manager, as well. It's like it's been one of the most bizarre years I can think of from a Bucks perspective, where really nothing coming out from the organizational standpoint with all these Giannis rumors and everything else going on.
was funny. I talked to some NBA guys this morning, and I just said, God, never have we thought of, like, for 12 months, I think was when the first absolute trade rumor of Giannis, kind of hit the line. And it's been a constant year of, like, the challenge of the organization. And it, don't think it doesn't affect kind of the communications, the branding, the business health of everything like that. So I think there are definitely some different environmental things happening. But I mean, I can tell you, like, on a daily basis, Wes, John, Jimmy are like 1,000% engaged on kind of directionally, like, where this franchise is going.
So you were from New York, you're leaving. Lazarus from New York, he's leaving. I'm telling you right now, if Wes Edens leaves, like, it's going to be a huge breakdown of emotions from everybody, because then it's officially going to be the end of an era at that point going forward. Do we know of Wes Edens' plans of wanting to be here long term, or is he also thinking about moving back and doing his thing?
I mean, I could just speak to my relationship with Wes and my communication, and nothing has changed in my expectation. He's the governor of the team. He has a passion for it. He is more engaged than I've ever seen. So, I think it's business as usual, in a big way for him. So I don't think, when we had our discussions about a transition and kind of thinking, like, he was kind of totally understood and was very supportive, and, like, definitely reiterated that, like, he's, this will be, like, one of the more interesting, years to help, transform, like, where we are.
So with Peter Feigin, former Milwaukee Bucks president, here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. I want one more for you, because you and I have talked, and I just kind of want to throw this out there publicly, because Jimmy Haslam gets a bad rap, obviously. 2 winning seasons in Cleveland. The guy that won both seasons, he just fired in Cleveland. Then the news that comes out of his GM wants one guy, he hires another guy for the Browns head coaching job. So it seemingly never stops as far as how the ball rolls on Jimmy Haslam in sports. Having said that, you have always, to me, spoken glowingly of what it was like to work with Jimmy Haslam since he came on board in Milwaukee. Can you talk about that relationship?
Yeah, I've never worked for someone who's more straightforward, kind of direct, keeps expectations, like, very, very, very simple, and is, like, curious and kind of asks the questions, and, like, certainly has a ton of trust, and certainly has been extremely, on a personal and professional level, extremely good and generous to me. So, like, the Jimmy Haslam I know is a very good guy.
Now that you're out, do you think parking prices will drop?
No.
When the stadium was going up, Pfizer Forum was going up, I kept on Peter Feigin every time I had him. I want theater seating. And finally, after like 2 or 3 interviews, he's like, you're not getting it. It's not happening. Just drop it. Okay, fine. I want cheaper parking prices than we had when the city owned the parking garages across the street. Peter, can you at least get me cheaper parking prices? That didn't happen either. So we're stuck there too. How about Ishima in Phoenix has $2 concession stand menus? Can we get that now with a new guy in charge?
No.
So what is he going to give us that you didn't give us? I mean, there's got to be something here. How are we going to benefit?
Well, I think here is like the same strategy of how do you continue to raise the bar? So the fan experience, I do think it's how do you touch and affect the food and beverage? Some of that is pricing, some of that is variety and service. And, the goal here is how to be the example, around professional sports and not just the league. So I think he understands kind of like where the expectations are in a very big way to get it done. And I think there are lots of improvements like we could make, over the time. And part of it's the content we have, part of it's like the growth, and it is all about the consumer experience, right? So like a fan comes, and in a perfect world, win or lose, you want them to want to come back. And that has 100 touch points. And
Sure.
You've got to be on top of those 100 touch points.
That's why he's so good. That's why he's so good. And we're going to miss you so much, Peter Feigin. I want to know, when is Peter Feigin night next year? Do we have a date and a time picked out? Because there's going to be a Peter Feigin night.
I think they might hang me from the rafters. I think we've had almost too much celebration to get it. I think like when I think about the perfect thing, what I'd like to do is is to come in and quietly, like maybe from section 118, row 21, watch a game as a pure fan and just kind of totally enjoy it in like a real way. I don't think I've been in this arena where I've not overly stressed, overly been anxiety over the littlest things and everything. And I'm like really looking forward to the day where, like, oh my God, I can just sit back, watch a game in this building with a different mindset and just be in heaven.
Favorite non-sporting event that you saw at Fiserv?
Oh, it's the Killers. It's the Killers opening performance, like that, because it was so emotional. It was kind of like the climax of the building and the completion and everything like that. And I'm going to throw you for one there. I mean, I got to tell you, I don't miss a rodeo, a PBR, which I think is just surreal. So, like,
love it.
I had never been, I'd never been around the rodeo, so I think that's Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
There you go.
Around Christmas time, I mean, I think I must be their best salesperson, because I literally tell everybody, I think people think I'm literally drunk or on drugs when I market like TSO concert. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You've got to. This is it. I grew up in New York City. I went to the Christmas show at Radio City. This is better. Like, this.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite bar that you're going to miss? Not the Mecca, which is no longer Tom's Watch
No,
Bar. Something else.
I'm going to miss two places in like a really, really direct way. And they've got bars, but I don't go to them. One is Cafe at the Plaza on Cass Street, which is like kind of having a dream sequence for me. And I'm probably there like at 7 a.m. and kind of hide and just love Pete Smith, who runs it. And then probably like one of my favorite places, because I'm addicted to like the food, is Safiro's, like on Far West.
Yes.
Just like to just kind of like, they're both places where I just kind of feel great, like in them, and I'm just comfortable. And I just think it's like so Milwaukee. Like you couldn't put those places anywhere else. Certainly not New York. Certainly not with like the people, and just be like, those are my safe spaces. So I love those places.
Summerfest or State Fair?
That is a great question, and it's unfair because Summerfest is a little more variety. But I will tell you, and I talked about Trans-Siberian Orchestra. I sell the State Fair because people outside of Wisconsin, like, it is the greatest show on earth. Like, even people watching is like insane. Like every year after my first year, we've had our executive meeting in some conference room there just to like spend 3 hours like watching people, eat, drink, on the rides, the farm animals. I've gone to the cattle auction. Like, and by the way, like, I didn't even know this stuff existed. Like, it's insane. Like I worshipped like this woman who spent like 100 hours making like a butter cow. Like, it's like the best. It's the best.
Peter Feigin's going to come back in like jean overalls to buy a cow one of these years at the State Fair. That would be amazing.
Mold that she wouldn't let me touch that damn butter cow. Like, it's unbelievable. I was like, hey, can I play with the tail? Can I do it? She's like, stay away from the cow.
Oh my goodness, that is just amazing. All right, man, this is your deal. You got anything else you want to say to the state of Wisconsin, to Milwaukee?
Sparky, on a personal and professional level, from our first meeting, like, you are just like kind of the people I love, just a core fan, like, who is just so honest and authentic. So, like, I just want to say thank you so much. I know the people that listen to you know that. And like, you have been so out of your way nice to me. I could never thank you enough. And I've just like enjoyed everything. So like, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Cause you've changed all of our Bucks fans' lives. Cause before y'all showed up, again, we were in the desert. I'm scared we're going to go there again, but we were in the desert, and you all changed everything. Not only is for Bucks fans, but also in downtown. Like, I always say, those guys should be having their rings kissed for everything they did for downtown Milwaukee and revitalizing it, everything, and bringing it up to be more modern and bringing more business in and everything else. I don't think any of that happens if y'all don't come riding into town on your horses. So I appreciate you so much, Peter Feigin. And if I ever get to New York, I'll come.
I'm your guy.
I'll come find you, Peter. All right, man. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Go Bucks.
Take care. There he is, Peter Feigin, right there on the Guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. I will tell you right now, I don't know if y'all wanted me to ask tougher questions than that. I don't know if y'all are going to be mad at me for how I handled that. But that was one of the situations where dude's leaving, dude's not running it anymore. Dude doesn't care probably necessarily as much anymore because he's out. So you just got to pick and choose which way you want to go. And I do believe that he deserved all the praise that I threw his way. Because if you were here for ownership group and so forth with Herb Cole for all those years prior to that, the way they handled their business versus how it was handled prior, completely different. Completely. And some of the longstanding people that were in the organization that eventually got booted out, I'm sure were bitter and angry and so forth. But you can't argue with the result when everything was said and done.
No. He, again, built and was a part of that franchise that gave me one of the moments in my life that I will never forget. Again, that game where they won the championship standing in downtown Milwaukee will forever be ingrained in my brain. And he was a part of that. So got to give him a lot of credit for that. You know, and it's really cool that he recognizes people like you, Sparky, who are true fans and go out and give it their all on this side of things in order to push them to be the team that they were. And I think that's really cool.
It is. It was a fun relationship. Like I said, I don't usually have tight relationships with most of these people one way or the
you
other.
Tell me all the time how
most of them hate me.
And they hate you.
Yeah. Most of them hate me. But when you got dudes rolling in here from New York that listen to the fan in New York, and then you hear me and it's like, dude, this dude's great. Like, see, everybody gets all mad at me. Like I'm some over the top, I'm too negative and so forth. But I just am who I am.
Listen to Tiki Barber sometimes in New York. Listen to some of these guys in Philadelphia.
WIP in Philadelphia. Right. Sister stations of ours, right? So you go ahead, listen, and you'll see how the other side works. But I just always try to be honest. Sometimes y'all don't like it, and it is what it is. But I had to have Peter Feigin on the way out. So I'm glad he had some time for us to join us. He was on for 20 minutes?
Yeah,
it was pretty good.
Long time.
Hey, can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating 3. Hey, it's Sparky. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration, the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. It's a quick timeout. Things Sparky missed. Brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. Straight ahead on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Wisconsin Sports wrap up coming up here from 5 until 6. I believe Jeff Levering will be a part of that show. He was on Inside Wisconsin Sports earlier today with our guys, Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht. Again, tomorrow morning, 6 to 9 with those gentlemen. 9 to noon, John Kuhn, Rami Makloff, Brandon Sny producing that one. Then noon to 2, it is Mason Crosby's show with Mitchell and Ellis, presented to you by Verizon, with Tommy Wirtz helping out on that show as well. And then, of course, this show right back at it again from 2 to 5 tomorrow. So looking forward to talking to y'all tomorrow on a Friday, heading into a weekend. No football this weekend. Those Pro Bowl games or whatever the heck it's going to be doesn't happen until Tuesday night. So y'all are going to have to find something else to watch on TV. Hey, my friends over there at Habish and Rotier are doing it up, man. They're just doing it up. They're winning case after case after case. And while, yes, they are winning other cases, when you bring them your case, they're going to do right by you, right? They're going to ask all the questions about whatever may have happened in your car accident or whatever. And they're going to get to the bottom and get the answers on everything. They're going to make sure that you're taken care of, whether it's worrying about bills or doctors or medical or whatever else. They can answer all of those questions for you and get you set to begin your journey of using Habish and Rotier. Again, national reputation. Why? Because they win. That's why. You don't get a national reputation if you lose. You get a national reputation if you win a lot. They win a lot. That's their deal. And then you get the whole deal of working with the people that are right here. 13 locations around the state. Wausau, Green Bay, Appleton, Sheboygan, Stevens Point, Rhinelander, Kenosha, Racine, Lake Geneva, West Bend, all over the place. Milwaukee, obviously. So check them out today. They will take care of you. Habish, and Rotier. National reputation, hometown service. Check them out. Habish.com or call them 1-800-2HABISH. Again, Habish.com.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, now, things that we missed. Well, the one thing that we missed was the news on the Green Bay Packers. We talked earlier that the Packers are bringing in a new linebackers coach to D.C. In college last year. Prior to that, he was linebackers coach for Gannon, the new defensive coordinator for the Packers when he was in Arizona. So, again, bringing in a familiar face, which makes all the sense in the world. That's what you do, right? When you're a manager or GM or whatever, you walk into a new business, you tend to hire those close to you that you can trust and surround yourself with those people that you know will help you get the job done that you're trying to get done. So now today, the Green Bay Packers lose somebody from their coaching staff on the offensive side of the football. Sean Mannion, who was the quarterback's coach that Matt LaFleur gave his first coaching gig to, essentially, now leaving to be the offensive coordinator, according to reports, and headed to the Philadelphia Eagles to be the offensive coordinator there.
Seems like a good pickup by them. When they gave Kellen Moore the opportunity to be the offensive coordinator there, kind of feels the same type of way. I think that works better for Nick Sirianni, for the Packers. This is something that, based on the reports from a lot of the people that have been around this coaching staff, been around this team, is going to be a huge loss.
This is my thing with this, okay? I've said this numerous times, and you've probably heard me say it numerous times, but calling plays, there is an art, okay? He's been a quarterback, obviously, an NFL quarterback. Not a Pro Bowl quarterback, but a quarterback. He didn't call plays in Green Bay for these last couple of years. It's been Matt LaFleur calling plays, right? He's been involved in game planning and so forth. Kellen Moore was an established play caller already. We knew what Kellen Moore was based on his other stints around the NFL as offensive coordinator. You knew he knew what he was doing. The Sean Mannion hire here, just like if you hire a defensive coordinator that's never called plays, a Durante Jones, a Christian Parker, those type of guys, you don't know how good they're going to be at calling plays. On offense, You're calling plays to set up something for later in the game or later in the drive. That's what you're working with. And then when you get a penalty or two, and now you're behind the sticks, and now all of a sudden it's 2nd and 20 or 3rd and 12, now that changes everything you were going to do. Now you got to change on the fly to do something else. And then to determine, okay, screw this. I'm just going to punt here. I'm not going to try and force the issue. We're just going to hand it off, get a couple of yards, and punt to get out of our own territory. All of those decisions he has to make. Here's the thing. Nick Sirianni's an offensive guy. So this would be like being a play caller for LaFleur. LaFleur going, I'm out, you call plays. Remember, Mike McCarthy did that. I'm out, Tom Clements, you do it. It lasted, 5 games? That was it. McCarthy goes, you're not good. I'm taking it back. You worry about taking care of Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers was not happy by all accords. And we went back to Mike McCarthy being the play caller. There is something to pressure being there when you're calling plays, offense or defense, when the guy that the head coach is, that's his specialty. That's how he got the job. There's pressure that comes with that.
There's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Nick Sirianni just goes back and forth. Like, he just chooses randomly when he doesn't want to call plays, when he does want to call plays. Sometimes it's his own coaching staff telling him not to call plays, like Jonathan Gannon apparently did when he was there. I mean, this is a situation where you're just not as safe, and you can be the scapegoat pretty quickly, like we saw this year with Kevin Patullo.
I'm telling you right now, this doesn't work. He's out. Sirianni's gone. If this does not work, Nick Sirianni's gone, and they're going to start over at head coach. That'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up coming up next with our guy, Tommy Wirtz, from 5 until 6. Enjoy the rest of your night. Have a good one, Wisconsin. Toodles!